squeeze this in. We've got him on the hop, the Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Mathew Dickerson. Morning, Matt.
Morning, Richard. How are you going?
Did you get 2 thumbs up on the weekend for our? Can we stop with this boil? What's going on?
Oh, look, it is very frustrating. We believe we're at the point that if we had to make the decision, I believe we'd be lifting it now, but we've got to get New South Wales Health to sign off. Just let me run you through a couple of bits of data and see if you make up your mind. On the 7th of July, we produced water below specification for 10 hours and 18 minutes. So we put about 7.8 megalitres into our reservoirs during that time frame, and it was only just below spec. It was around 0.5, 0.56, 0.57, a few different filters there. So we've got an 86 megalitre network, so 7.8 went in below spec. Here we are now on the 15th of July. From 6:18 p.m. on the 7th of July, we've been producing water up to 22 megalitres a day. We've almost produced double the volume of the network, almost 172 megs we've produced so far that's been in spec, and I'm talking about 0.05, 0.07 turbidity levels, so way below spec. But New South Wales Health is still saying, even though that's turned over the entire reservoir volume twice, they're still saying, no, we want you to leave the boil water alert on, and we've got to get them to sign off before we can say it's good to go. I looked across the state too, Richard, over the last 56 boil water alerts across the state over the last 2.5 years. More than half of those were lifted under 10 days. Some of them 3 days, some of them 5 days. So, and these are recent ones. I mean, a Snowy Monaro Regional Council was in 3 days. Tweed Shire, 5 days. Mudgee was 6 days. I mean, there's all these ones there.
So what have you had? Have you had a squabble with New South Wales Health? Why are they holding us against the wall?
They seem to be wanting to introduce some new methodologies, which they thought they'd test out with us first. We're one of the first councils to try this new methodology, and they want to leave it on for 22 days or longer. So we're bringing in extra consultants. We've sent water off to Sydney Water to be tested. We said we'll send the water off to be tested for crypto because obviously that's what you're worried about. But then New South Wales Health said, well, we don't really put a lot of validity in the testing you do for crypto. Well, the whole thing we're after here is to make sure people don't get sick from crypto.
That's
and
right.
So testing for crypto seems like the logical thing to do, but then they don't accept that particular testing. It is a bit frustrating at the moment. I'm hearing from lots of people in Dubbo now, they accepted the issues for a few days, but you're getting to the point now where it's just getting to be too long when, again, it seems to my mind that we've done everything we can possibly do to satisfy any sort of requirements, any sort of sensible, logical requirements from health. And again, we don't want to infect the community. We've got to satisfy ourselves that the water's safe. So we tend to think that we're at that point now, but we've got to get sign-off from New South Wales Health. So a bit frustrating.
How stubborn are they, though?
They are the ones who ultimately say yes or no, so they can just say no.
But they're in Macquarie Street. Not our Macquarie Street, the one overlooking the Opera House.
I know what you're saying, and we're still working to that zonal lifting, so we're still working maybe over Rifle Range Road where we've done more flushes through the reservoirs there. They might let West Dubbo off earlier, but again, it just, to me, that's the sort of logic, Richard. If you put double the volume of water that we can store in a network through that's being at the right level, then that seems like a fairly good clean out of the system. And again, we haven't had to do that. Even Geary, the recent one in Geary, we didn't have to do that twice through the system and then more through Geary. So it seems like it's changed only in a short period of time.
So they're using us as guinea pigs for this new procedure protocol.
You may well say that, Richard. You may well say that. And I don't know that it's the best example to use as guinea pigs when you've got a whole community that's being impacted here.
You have tens of thousands impacted.
Exactly right. So when we had the Geary boil water alert, they required one flush out of the system. So whatever the volume of water was that was stored in Geary, once it went through the system once, they were happy for us to lift the boil water alert. And that's only recently. And then now this one here, they're requiring, 2 so far and then still not lifted.
Has Health rung you up and said, hey, Matt Dickerson, have you had conversations, or is it this all, how do you get these messages?
Yeah, so I've certainly been in some of the meetings. Our staff have been in, obviously, the meetings. They're dealing with this on an hour-by-hour basis, and there are so many different players. You've got New South Wales Health, and then you've got a couple of different departments from the government that are involved in specifically with water issues around DPE, for example. So there's these various departments that are all having their say, and there'll be new people who will join in, and someone will have a new opinion of things. So again, we're on the ground. We're the ones that are facing the community. But you're right, most of these video conferences are with people from Sydney, and they've got to really get a good understanding of what's happening out here. And safety is the issue, Richard. I don't have a problem with that at all.
No, nor I. Has Kerry Chant rang you?
I haven't had a chat with Kerry Chant, no.
She's head of the whole shebang, isn't she?
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure she'd be
not political, is it, Matthew Dickerson?
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why suddenly they've decided that Dubbo would be a good example to introduce a new methodology when you've got so many residents that are impacted by this and businesses that are impacted. I mean, if you owned a pub, for example, just to produce your ice that you need in the pub, you can't just turn the tap on and then turn that into ice. You've got something a bit more serious you've got to do. You've got to go and boil all that water for ice or buy bottled water. It's very frustrating from our perspective. We think we're doing everything right. And again, it was our fault in the beginning. So I do make apologies for that, but I make no excuses for that.
Yes.
It was still our water treatment plant that had that initial issue. And we've worked with New South Wales Health all the way. We've got to get to a point now where common sense has got to be seen.
What's common sense when politics is involved here? We're looking at 10 days already. What's your gut telling you then, Matthew Dickerson? How long do we have to put up with this rubbish?
Well, we'll just keep arguing the toss and get to the point where we believe we can lift that boil water alert. The West Dubbo, I would suggest that within 2 days we'll have West Dubbo lifted and the rest of Dubbo hopefully by the end of the week. But I would hope earlier than that, but it depends who wins the argument.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me saying what I've just said to you may upset the poor little dears in Sydney too. And they go, oh, no, we can't let you now because, you're rousing at us,
Well, they've got my phone number. They can ring me anytime.
All right, so we've still got to put up with it for at least a couple of days. What about South Dubbo? What about East?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Don't know. West Dubbo will probably be the first one lifted unless common sense prevails and everywhere is lifted.
Oh, dear. All right.
We'll keep you informed.
Patient, I guess. We've got to abide by whatever goes on there, but I just hope it doesn't come down to this politics stuff, playing games with human lives, hospitals and, as you say, businesses that need this stuff. I'm sick of whistling kettles going around. The novelty's worn off. Matthew Dickerson, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.